On today's show, the San Diego Padres bounce back from a nightmarish Tuesday series of unfortunate events and get the win 2-1 despite having a lot of their lineup out. Talking about Randy Vasquez being one of the most reliable starters in the rotation so far this year. The always extraordinary bullpen continuing to do the good work and a whole lot more. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Thursday, April 10th. As always, I'm your host, so sometimes, occasionally, but certainly not always the most, Javier Arraez. You can follow me on Twitter /X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO on those. You can also follow me on TikTok, which I've been posting on more lately, at Javios, JAVIOOS. Folks, the vibes are pretty good. The vibes, we made it. We made it. You know what I'm saying? We made it. Despite the fact that last night, and here's the thing about last night's game, is that it was just kind of like a coalescence of bad things. And admittedly, I recorded that very late yesterday's episode for my everydayers. A lot of bad stuff, of course, happened yesterday. Dylan Cease had one of his worst starts we'd ever seen from him, frankly, in his entire career, not just as a Padre. And then we also had Jay Cronenworth get hurt, Jackson Merrill went to the aisle, and Fernando Tatis Jr. got hurt. So it was a really bad night, right? And then for them to bounce back the way that they did in this game, I think says a lot, right? Because you have the Cubs series in which they had their worst loss. I also compared that too, where you had in the Saturday game, just a very uncompetitive game for the most part, 7-1. And for you to bounce back and get a comeback win in the case of the Cubs, right? Like you actually were down, I believe it was 7-3 in that game, and you make a comeback. And then for you to just come back this next day after a 10-4, obliteration, it felt like, at the hands of the A's, to come back the very next day and just play a sharp, like kind of boring, let's be honest, pretty boring baseball game, especially compared to the first two games, which featured a lot more offense, especially in a ballpark that prior to today's game had allotted at least 18 home runs and a little bit more than 40 innings played in Sacramento's new field. Like, that's pretty nuts. And for them to get this bounce back win, I think is really cool. You win the series, then you go into the day off, and you go into the series against Colorado, a team that typically you'd be like, oh yeah, let's feast, baby, here we go. But for whatever reason, the Padres have actually been remarkably mediocre for the majority of the last 5 years against the Colorado Rockies. So we'll see how that pans out. But in terms of just yesterday's game, guys, the first thing we got to talk about is Randy Vasquez, who had another really good start, at least by his standards, I should say. 5 innings in this one, only gives up 1 earned run. He did walk 3. He only struck out 1. Look, here's how I'll go through. First of all, the sweeper was actually sweeping at points, right? He actually generated 3 whiffs on that thing in yesterday's game. Looked pretty sharp. And once again, he kind of limited the hard contact for the most part, right? And here's the thing with Randy Vasquez is what I've seen this year, I don't think that I've seen a giant transformation of him. What I've seen is a guy that is getting a little bit lucky. Let's just be honest. This is a guy who every single start has walked a decent amount of batters. And what that means is that if you're walking more than you're striking out, that tends to suggest that you're getting a little bit lucky with some of the ground balls, with some of the hits and whatnot. He has not struck out more in any of his starts so far. He has not had more strikeouts than walks. First game against Atlanta, he had 3 strikeouts to 4 walks. Then against the Cubs, 2 strikeouts to 5 walks. And then against the A's, 1 strikeout to 3 walks. So that tells me his FIP is going to be super duper high. So I'm not expecting this man to continue this up for that much longer. And I think you saw a little bit of that yesterday, right? Because, well, I want to talk about him. Actually, let's get into the good first. With Randy Vasquez, he's sweeper, like I said, drained the 3 whiffs, and his sinker and cutter, I think, have just been a little bit better this year. I think that the cutter is really key to this, especially against lefties. Last year, he had some of the worst, offensive stats against a pitcher by lefties in terms of who was giving up the most offensive production by lefties among pitchers who had at least 100 something innings. I think it was 120 innings or something like that. I forgot what it was exactly over the past couple of years combined. He was by far one of the worst, right? So this is a guy that has bad issues with control and lefties kill him. The cutter is something that I think he's been using to kind of counter that, right? It's been a little bit of a weapon to address that issue. And again, I'm not seeing anything crazy from Randy Vasquez, but I have hope. I'm not certain of this, right? It's only been 3 starts. And again, he has been walking a lot of batters, and that tends to not age well as you go throughout the rest of the season. But I think that what he does deserve is a little bit of love for what his role is. And what his role is with the injury to Yu Darvish, with Dylan Cease and Michael King too, frankly, not, at their ace levels of power so far, with the Darvish injury, with the fact that Kyle Hart was a disaster recently, with the fact that Nick Pivetta was a disaster recently, the fact that Randy Vasquez has the lowest ERA among the Padres starting pitching crop is really wild, right? Like, that's pretty impressive. And frankly, speaks to the Padres season in general. They're not even getting the best value out of their starting pitching right now. It's timely hitting, it's good offense, it's pretty good defense at times as well, especially from Manny Machado. He's made a couple plays this year. You've had really good defense in the outfield as well from Tatis, from Merrill, and frankly even Jason Hayward and Brandon Lockridge, right? Like, they've had really good defense and a shutdown bullpen. But all that said, there were some things that occurred here, right? Like I said, this is something that's probably not going to keep up. And I'm not even saying it won't keep up at 1.69. I'm saying he's going to have a start at this rate unless there's something I haven't seen where he's going to get hit a pretty decent amount, right? Because in this game, Tyler Soderstrom had a flyout that had an expected batting average of 890, and it was actually a home run in 11 out of 30 ballparks. That was a flyout. Lawrence Butler, he had a hit that went 105 miles per hour off the bat and had an expected batting average of 800. That wasn't a hit. Also, JJ Bleday, he hit the ball, right, with a 690 expected batting average, and that did not result in a hit. So he got some luck with the BABIP gods, and not to mention, there was also a really great double play that was turned in this game by Jose Iglesias, running up the ball. He somehow gets to run to second base pretty quickly, throws the ball to first. Now, don't get me wrong, Randy Vasquez generated some soft contact there, but I'm just giving you an idea that, like, you're not always going to get all these, saving plays, especially when you face some of the better teams. So I'm expecting a little bit of a blow-up start at some point, but I am curious to see if the sweeper is better. I have not seen enough. I have not seen enough from Randy Vasquez to know if the stuff is better. But I will say he is generating soft contact, so maybe the blow-up start won't happen for a little bit. He might just get a little bit fortunate for a while, right? It might just be like, you know what? As long as I'm not just giving up nukes and getting killed, as long as I could just get through innings, that's all they need from me, right? And that's really is all the Padres need, is they just need him to go out there, throw some innings, be okay, not destroy them the way that he did last year, I think, right? Last year, every Randy Vasquez start was just like, oh God, he's going to just go 5 innings and give up 4 and walk 6, right? Like, he was just really all over the place and just not all that good of a starting pitcher, which is what prompted my belief that he was more of a long inning reliever type of pitcher. But then again, he still deserves a little bit of credit. He has not given up any home runs, any big major hits this year. But again, the fact that he's just striking out so few and walking so many, this is not going to keep up at this rate. But I do like that he's shown a propensity to produce soft contact. He's in the 90th percentile in hard hit rate and the 78th percentile in average exit velocity. And I do think to a degree that is him. I think he's a weird pitcher to face against, but let's not freak out. Because also, I thought Matt Waldron last year, by the way, Matt Waldron was legitimately striking out guys and producing really good stuff. And he ended up having a blow up, right? So when it comes to Randy Vasquez, let's not make the same mistake and assume, wow, the Padres found a diamond in the rough. However, if your view is the Padres might have found a back end starter, a 5th starter that could produce for them, now we're talking. Now you're speaking my language just a little bit, guys. But that is it for Randy Vasquez. Well, more importantly, that is it just for the first segment of this show, right? Yeah, a little bit of a soft one. What can I say on this episode, guys? But before we get into the rest of the game and some other little tidbits that we got to talk about, including an update on the Jake Cronenworth and Fernando Tatis Jr. injuries, we need to take a break to talk about one of our sponsors. And do you know what one of our sponsors is, folks? It's the legendary people, the lovely people that just want to make you happy. And that is people at Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. It's great, guys. It's great. I love that they prioritize the wholesome, nourishing ingredients without any of that artificial junk, folks, that junk that they put in all this stuff out here, right? Just Ingredients, they've got you covered. And whether you're recovering after a workout or need just a little bit of an energy boost to get you throughout the day, or even your little cubicle job, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results as well. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's right, folks, for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, go check out at just.ingredients on Instagram. Just Ingredients. We love you. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here thriving and certainly, to a degree, vibing here on this Thursday show. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you to my everydayers. Remember, we are free and available on all platforms. And after games, my guy Jim Gracier, he's out there. My boy Big Jim, Big Jim Dog, he is out here redoing a live show after all the games to give you that, like, it's just extra content for you guys. So hopefully you are enjoying it. One more thing I want to say about Randy Vasquez, and this was a comment that was left by my always, one of my frequent listeners, Mr. Tony Sue 8860. He says, Javi slips calling Vasquez a fifth starting pitcher in the number 3 rotation spot, but might be true. In any case, he, along with Pivetta and Hart, were probably intimidated by the cozy confines of Wrigley, referring to the last start last weekend, right? And now has to be ready to pitch in similar circumstances in an orc of minor league, in a park, of minor league dimensions. And also, it would be helpful if the Padres play mistake-free defense behind him. And they did, right? A lot of good defense in this game. I only brought up this comment from Tony So not to just to reiterate what he already said and all that, but he said, I slipped calling Vasquez a fifth starter pitching when he's the number 3 rotation spot. What I mean when I call Randy Vasquez a starter, just in case anyone has any confusions, I mean like his skill level. Like what kind of pitcher he can be. I don't mean the literal rotation spot he's in, right? Because guess what? The Rockies, they don't have a number 1 starter. Like they don't have an ace just because he's their top guy that they send out on opening day, right? That's not how I view it. I think Randy Vasquez is a low 4 to high 5 potential starting pitcher. Right? Like where if he is in one of those slots, you can potentially have a good baseball team, right? But if he's your number 3, that's when I'm like, oh, I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that just yet. So I mean it not in the technical sense that Randy Vasquez is a fifth starter. I mean like in terms of his quality. That's kind of what we're looking for with Randy Vasquez. So just using that, and Mr. Tony Sue, always appreciate your comments to kind of for anybody who might have been confused. But some other things about this baseball game, folks, let me tell you. There was some other stuff here. And it wasn't a lot, right? Okay, so first of all, the only run that the A's score was off a sacrifice fly. Shea Langelier scored. Oscar Gonzalez gets called up because you guys might have heard not exactly the best lineup for the Padres yesterday because of the Jake Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, and Fernando Tatis Jr. Injuries. The lineup went as followed. It was Luis Arraez, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Gavin Sheets, Oscar Gonzalez, Jose Iglesias, Jason Hayward, Brandon Lockridge, and Martin Maldonado. What's funny is that the offense actually produced in a certain way. They got 9 hits off of Osvaldo Bidu, who we talked about with Booney the other day, and he was saying, like, this guy's shown a little bit of potential and whatnot, but for the most part, you know, the Padres were kind of in on him, right? They were getting a lot of singles in this game. Like, they were getting hits. Manny Machado had 2 for 3 day, and he had 2 walks and a stolen base, by the way. Manny Machado, 6 stolen bases on the season. Quickly want to address that. There was a time in 2021, actually, when Manny Machado stole 5 bases at the beginning of the season in March and April. He has 6 so far. I'm just saying this is kind of like this bit that he does where he steals a bunch of bases early on. I do not think that Manny Machado is going to all of a sudden start stealing a ton of bases. It's just really fun, and I appreciate the aggression on his part. But in some cases, it has been just like a series of weird happenstance where like bad defense, the catcher fumbling the ball a little bit at home plate, whatever it is, a wild pitch. All of his stolen bases haven't been like just straight up like he's going to swipe a bag and the catcher's trying to throw him out. He's just been going at an unbelievably perfect time, right? Like every time he's stolen base. So I'm not looking into that too much. Gavin Sheets, I want to talk about him really quickly. He was pinch hit for in this game. He hit the sacrifice fly that ended up giving the Padres the lead. Oscar Gonzalez gave them the single that allowed them to score originally. Shout out to him, by the way, 2 for 4 in this game. And he was aggressive, by the way, Oscar Gonzalez. Like, really aggressive. In fact, he had the hardest hit ball of the entire game at 110.9 miles per hour off the bat. It was a single, don't get me wrong, but look, it's just one game, obviously, but I was impressed by how aggressive Oscar Gonzalez was, right? Some of them weren't great, right? But a flyout had an expected batting average of 380, right? That was an out for him. He had a ground out that wasn't so great, but he kind of like showed a little bit of pop, right? Like he showed a tiny bit of, I don't want to say pop, but a little bit of power. He was swinging the bat well. I was like really taken aback. I was like, yeah, so why again do we keep playing Jason Hayward? Was kind of my reaction. I was like, why? So why are we doing this? I know why they're doing this, because of Jason Hayward's defense, and veteran players are useful. I'm not saying they're not, but I kind of looked at it being like, dang, yeah, can we have this guy hit instead of Yuli Gurriel as well? And by the way, Gavin Sheets being the cleanup hitter just shows you like the Padres got some problems with this lineup, which is why we can't go and get carried away and start acting like we're the best team in baseball. Because while I do think that the back end of this Padres lineup, I believe it has become a little bit too cliche for the past few seasons for everyone to be like, the Padres don't have depth, the Padres don't have depth. And I'm like, agreed. But after you've got Arraez, Bogaerts, Cronenworth, Merrill, Tatis, Machado, that's 6 batters that I just named right there. What other lineup in baseball exactly is amazing 1 through 9 outside the best teams, like maybe your Atlanta? Although, RIP to Mr. Jurickson Profar with the suspension. Obviously the Dodgers, right? Maybe the Phillies. After that, I'm like, do you guys really think like Detroit? I just don't see that complaint, right? Like levied against many other teams. But maybe that's my bias checking in against what I perceive as other people's biases, if that makes any sense. But again, not the best lineup for the Padres. Gavin Sheets didn't look all that great. He had multiple opportunities to drive in some runs, as evidenced, by the way, like I said about the 9 hits. Doesn't look great in this game, which is unfortunate because it was a decent matchup for him. He actually gets pinch hit for in this with Yuli Gurriel, which is really depressing, by the way. Your DH getting pinch hit for is usually not a good sign. Look, I still think Gavin Sheets has looked okay this year. There's a little bit of optimism that he could just be a slugger and he doesn't have to focus on the outfield at all. But he's got to do a little bit better than that, and we'll see if they put him in the lineup again tomorrow. He is so bad against lefties. That needs to be brought up. This guy has a 24 career WRC plus against lefties. And while, yes, Yuli Gurriel hasn't done anything, I at least somewhat understand, especially in a day when he hasn't been doing good against the righties, that Mike Schultz was like, let me just give Yuli Gurriel a shot. He makes contact, doesn't go for anything, right? He's only had basically 2 hits for this team this year. He hasn't been all that good. But nonetheless, I just don't think that this is going to be the same lineup, right? Like, I think AJ Preller is going to make a trade, or I think your Oscar Gonzalez might get some more reps. And again, it was just one game, but there is something about him swinging that bat that looked good. The swing path, the speed of the bat, in some cases the hard hit rate. I was as impressed you can be with a guy that I don't know too much about, and I'm not a big prospect expert, right? In their first game. About as impressed you could be. But anyway, I think that you're going to see Eggy Rosario. I think you're going to see Tirso Ornelas, and I think you could see a trade at some point. I just don't think that this is going to be the lineup for the rest of the year, including when we get our 3 boys back. That's what I think. We're going to have some changes, which is good. Martin Maldonado, by the way, another hit for him. Shouts to him. 3 strikeouts of the night. Don't worry, he's not going to be a good hitter. He hasn't been in a while, but just wanted to throw that one out there. Jason Hayward actually goes 2 for 4 in this game as well. But the big games, I talked about Manny Machado with his 2 walks, his 2 singles. Great series, by the way, for Manny Machado. Like, low-key. Everything Manny Machado does, frankly, at this point in his career, feels low-key. But 2 for 3 game yesterday with 2 walks and the steal. He went 1 for 5 in the previous night with at least his first home run of the year. And then in the first game, 2 for 4 with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs with those doubles as well. So, like, Machado playing really, really well. Again, last year he was awesome. He really was awesome. It was clear that he was just recovering from the surgery he had in the offseason. And it might explain why he wasn't so great in 2023 as well. So Manny Machado, there's a reason why. He's looking like a Hall of Fame player. Excellent stuff from him. But Xander Bogaerts, and we actually had someone tweet at me, I don't know what the term would be, on Blue Sky, at AAPatty, at bluesky.social. Mailbag Monday question. We're using it for now, man. What can I say? But how are we feeling about Xander's exit velo and hard hit rate to start the season? Well, he smoked the ball a couple times in this one. He looked okay. Xander Bogaerts, 105.1 miles per hour off the bat, a double in this game. He also had 2 other singles. He had a ground out as well and a strikeout. But he also had a pretty good series. 3 for 5 in this game. Just got on base a lot, scored the winning runs. Love to see that from Xander Bogaerts. And he looked aggressive, too, at certain points. 2 for 4 in yesterday's game as well with an RBI. And then in the first game, he went 1 for 4, but with a double. So, like, we're starting to see a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit of potential here. I like that every day I keep seeing some Xander Bogaerts type of number, some type of hard hit ball, right? I really do appreciate that we see at least that from Xander Bogaerts. His numbers have been okay. If you look at Baseball Savant, he's not chasing too much. He's walking a decent amount. Right? He's still got his speed, which is great. He hasn't been playing all that much great defense, actually. He's -3 outs above average right now, but you got to wait a little bit on that. The barrel rate isn't great, but the hard hit rate is at 50. Is it in the 54th percentile now? That's a stark change. And by the way, remember, he has not never, but he's had really productive seasons by not being the hard hit god. This guy doesn't, you don't need to see, blood red on his entire Baseball Savant page, right? But what he's doing so far is showing me this guy can be a productive hitter. This is still a contract that is bothersome and worrisome, right? But what I'm seeing so far is he's hitting the ball well. He's being a lot more aggressive on first pitches. Still want him to do a little bit more with pitches right down the middle, right? I think there's sometimes that pitchers like second or third, pitch of the at bat, they just throw one in there because they know he wants to, maybe get a walk or whatever, and he just lets it sit there. But he's been more aggressive on first pitches. He looks pretty healthy. Hopefully he can get better with the defense, clean up some of the mistakes he's made this year. And I think the power at some point is going to come. But if he could just be a doubles guy who hits 16 home runs this year and plays pretty good defense, that's fine. That's what the Padres need. It's not what they wanted when they signed him to this contract, but it is huge for this team, not just now, but going forward, that he's not going to be an outward just liability and Eric Hosmer 3.0. Forget 2.0, but 3.0. So those are my thoughts so far, guys. But before we finish recapping the game and talking about a couple more things, including Robert Suarez nailing down another save and an update on Tatis and Cronenworth, we have one more thing to talk to you about. It's one of our sponsors, and it's a good one. And do you know what the good sponsor is, guys? You know what it is. It's one that we've been talking about for a long time. It is our good friends over at the Duel of Fandom. It is FanDuel, guys. And with the NBA playoffs almost here, FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Really great stuff, guys. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props, most threes, most steals, most rebounds, under rebounds. If you want to be a hater, right? I don't know what's going to happen. I bet a lot of people are going to be on the Luka Doncic revenge tour for the playoffs. That could be a lot of fun. And plus, after the game tips, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today with FanDuel. Go check it out. And just like that, folks, we are back into the final segment of this game recap. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. But even if you didn't, still go subscribe. Why not? Make me happy. I would appreciate that very much. At Javipeno, JAVIIPENO on Twitter/X and Blue Sky. And also check out the YouTube. Wherever your platforms are, share it, tell your friends, tell your parents. Tell them, hey, go subscribe to this kid's channel. He likes seeing the numbers go up. You don't have to watch a single video. That'll make him happy. I'd appreciate that very much. That'd be awesome. But, guys, last couple things I wanted to talk about from the game. First of all, 0 for 5 day from Luis Arraez. Not his best game, especially when they kind of need him a little bit. Again, I don't like him in that leadoff spot. Maybe that low-key. Maybe it was the thumb. I think it really was the thumb last year, which is why Luis Arraez had a little bit of a down season by his standards. But I do think that he's not a leadoff hitter. I think that he's so great as being the second guy for a bunch of reasons. He can just get you that single to drive in maybe the guy from second base, especially if they have some speed. And I just think he's more comfortable there. I don't think he's a leadoff type hitter because he swings a lot. But I will say one thing about Luis Arraez. I will say this one thing. And you guys know that I've been a little bit critical of him. He does go 0 for 5 in this game. And he does have a really unfortunate moment in which he gets a strikeout. Crazy, right? His first strikeout of the year. And it was on a pitch that hit him. Right? Really wild. And you might be thinking, see, Javi, I agree with you. This is why I have a little bit of problem with Luis Arraez. But I will say with this. Yes, he's a guy that doesn't draw a lot of walks. He has shown very, very interesting improvements. And what? Chasing. His chase rate this year is only 23.8%. That is, while not necessarily the most incredible in the world, last year it was 35.3. And to give you some even more context, his chase rate back in 2022 when he was a 130 WRC plus player was 24.1%. So he's chasing a lot less, and if he is, and not just rushing to just get those hits, this could be huge. I think that means that Luis Arraez, 3-win player who can win the batting title and genuinely be a guy who can just be one of the most feared, secondary batters in a lineup, especially in big game scenarios and with runners in scoring position and all that stuff. Remember, he posted 2 consecutive seasons of 130 WRC plus. His rookie year, 126. After that, 114, but the 130 came with a little bit more patience, right? And in 2023, he did 354 that year. I think that could be in play. And if he's walking more, that's huge, right? Still have some questions with him at first base, right? Like he's had some questionable moments there. But overall, Luis Arraez, can he be a 3-win player? I could totally see it. At the very minimum, I'm expecting 2.5 or so this year. And I think that WAR isn't necessarily always the best stat to calculate a player like Luis Arraez, but in this Padres lineup where you got Merrill and Machado and Tatis and hopefully what we're seeing, Bogaerts and then Jake Cronenworth as well, maybe they figure out the DH. That's what you need. You just need a pretty good hitter. And if he delivers that 125 to 130 WRC plus, we are cooking, folks. So just wanted to bring that up about Arraez. Next thing though, Padres bullpen. MLB best 1.65 on the season, and that's because who comes in? Of course, Adrian Morejon, he comes in, no earned runs, only 1 hit allowed. Jeremiah Estrada, he does give up 1 hard hit ball. I was like, ooh, and then it was okay, of course. It was okay. Because he did give up a home run in the series, so I was a little bit worried. Then Jason Adam, he comes in, gets 2 strikeouts after allowing a walk. Then Robert Suarez comes in, and again is just ice. Now, here's the thing with Robert Suarez. He only had to throw 7 pitches in this one. He threw more changeups than fastballs because he was blessed with the power of a ground ball, right? Like, we love that very, very much. Look, you love to see it. You know what I'm saying? You love to see it for the Padres to kind of, get that luck for him and whatnot. I think that Robert Suarez, I don't want to, like, immediately start apologizing because I still liked him heading into this year. But I do think it says a lot that he's getting more whiffs. He's getting more strikeouts, right? And I think he's one of those guys where the intangibles matter. I mentioned this on a previous podcast for my everydayers. You might be getting sick of me. I get it. But for me, what I'm seeing is this is a guy who's not afraid at all. He just goes right at guys. And granted, we've played the Cubs, we've played the Guardians, we've played the A's, we've played the Braves, and I understand, but like, those aren't like horrible lineups. I don't think that these are awful lineups. I think Lawrence Butler's good. I think Brett Rooker's good. JJ Bleday's been good. Soderstrom is like leading Major League Baseball practically in home runs. I just love that he goes up there and goes at it. And if he's generating whiffs, I do not care that much about the lack of the ground ball rate, the hard hit rate, and especially the average exit velocity. I just don't as much. Last year, that was more of a problem for me. Right? Because he wasn't getting as many strikeouts, he wasn't generating that many whiffs, and he had a really low, or I should say high, hard hit rate, and he just wasn't getting as much as I would like. Not a bad pitcher, but it told me it would not shock me if he regressed a little bit this year. But so far, I'm not seeing that, man. He's throwing his changeup a lot more than he did last year. He only threw it 13% of the time. So far, he's throwing it 29% of the time. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, folks. He's changing the usage of that changeup. And if the velocity is there on that fastball and he could properly manage that thing, I think that we're looking at, like, this guy's going to be great, right? Like, he's going to be awesome. I don't think that there's kind of any doubt about that. Now, I still want to remind everybody, he looked awesome at the beginning of last year, too. He fell off a little bit in the second half. So I do want to give it a little bit more time. But again, the changeup, it's got a lot of tail, man, versus right-handed pitchers, about 5.1 of a drop. Like, it's good. I think that changeup is going to be a thing. And if the changeup's good, I am almost ready to say, you know what, I might have been wrong about this one. And again, before I say wrong, I want to couch my opinion and say, I didn't say he was going to be bad. I just thought he could regress. And I don't even think it would have mattered because I think this bullpen is so ice, right? And that's what's happening right now. Last thing we got to talk about, though, is Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jake Cronenworth, according to AJ Casavel, who's reporting MLB.com. I like his tweets. He's great. Go follow him. He says, Mike Schilt, when asked about the status of Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jake Cronenworth, we're optimistic for Friday, and frankly, I don't even care if they say that they play on Friday. I am a little bit more worried about Jake Cronenworth. I'm a little bit less worried about Jake Cronenworth than I am Fernando Tatis Jr. Merrill with the hamstring, like that's unfortunate. He's heading to the IL, right? Happens. But with Tatis, I was a little bit more worried because Cronenworth, it seems like, was like, he's got some cramping thing, it hurts, and that just kind of, it felt like he's just beat up because he got hit by that pitch on the kidney in Sunday's game, and it just kind of re-aggravated or whatever, and that's not something that I think will land him on the IL. So he's probably just really beat up, and he's like, hey man, could really use the day off, got to keep me healthy. He's been great so far, like very quietly great. Jake Cronenworth, I would not be surprised if by the end of the year, when you look at like most underrated MLB player lists, he could be on there. I think that there's an outside chance. I really do. That this guy lands with like a 3.5 win WAR. Because when he was at second base, that's what he did. 3.7 in 2022, 3.1. 3.7 in 2021. Like, the guy can hit. He's got a 159 WRC plus on the season. He is pulling more fly balls, and he looks good at second base. That is his proper position. And lastly, it's not empirical evidence, but I did think it said something that teams were taking calls, or they were calling in about Jake Cronenworth for a trade, because they were like, you know what? We see something. This guy's good. And he showed it last year with some tinkerings to his swing. He still produced 2 wins above replacement. He was a pretty good player. We just know the Padres are using him wrong, and he should be at second base or shortstop or just being used more as a utility infielder. I'm really optimistic about Jake Cronenworth. Tatis, I'm a little bit more worried about the injury just because it's his shoulder and it's the one that was surgically repaired, and we've seen him hurt himself on that swing before, and it's Tatis. This is a guy who's had problems staying healthy, but I like that he said it for both. So I'm optimistic that these guys are going to be great and that they're going to be back for this series. It is the Rockies. I understand people might be like, oh, come on, I don't have to worry about them. But with the loss of Jackson Merrill and with the, let's just, to put it lightly, questions about the rest of the depth of this Padres lineup, I'm still excited to see how some other guys play, right? I really want to see more Oscar Gonzalez. I know, there's just something about it. He looked really good with the bat. I was like, this guy can hit. I'm really excited about this. I think that the Padres might be able to get away with it for maybe one more series, but having these guys back as soon as possible is awesome, but you do not want to put them at risk, especially when each one of them looked so good, not just like in a, oh, they're batting 350 way. No, like mechanically. Cronenworth, more pulled fly balls. Tatis, much more patient at the plate. Jackson Merrill, all the power seems to still be there. I love it. I love it. I love it. Want them always to be safe and healthy and happy and joyful. Very, very good start. So all in all, guys, awesome. Awesome series, I think, all things considered, for the Padres. We'll see how this series goes this weekend, and we're going to be previewing it on tomorrow's episode. We got a fun Friday for you folks with Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies coming on the show to preview the series, talk about all things Rockies, talk about all things Padres, and we'll probably talk about the NL West as a whole in general, because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, it is not the Wild Wild West Will Smith movie quality. It is just Wild West. It is a crazy good division. The National League looks cracked this year beyond belief. So we're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, remember, over the weekend, leave me your questions and comments at Javipeno. One more time, JAVIIIPENO at Twitter and at Blue Sky /X, Twitter/X and Blue Sky. Sorry, I messed that up. And also, feel free to reach out to me on TikTok. I don't care. I've been there. I've been posting more content on there. It's just been fun. I like the short form thing. At Javios, JAVIOOS. But until next time, stay safe, and of course, stay faithful, my Friar Faithful homies. Take care.